Hello, everybody, and welcome to another one of our casual chats. This is the show where we talk about everything exceptionally irresistible. We highlight these exceptionally irresistible individuals, such as the Kevin Belz that you see right here, who is totally awesome and totally incredible. And I can't wait to have this awesome, just chill chat with Kevin and just to discuss who he is, what he is, how exceptionally irresistible he or his business is. I can tell you from his LinkedIn account, if you guys go check him out, he's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun on his show, on his profile. So, without a further ado, let me introduce Kevin Bells.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to come and join us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So let me just quickly read your very short and fun bio here. Kevin Bells is the owner of Blacksmith Ventures Holding Co. I think that's company.
Mhm.
Serial entrepreneur and is a connector of dots into lines.
Yes.
So I love that line. That's my favorite. I like the connector part of things. So Kevin, in your own words, how's Kevin so exceptionally irresistible?
It it's one of those things where, to be honest with you, I have like on my LinkedIn profile, there are three things that I really believe in: paying it forward, serendipity, and
Mm,
just abundance mindset.
mm,
I cling to those things because that's not who I used to be. I was
mm,
transactional in the past completely, and
mm,
had a lot of things change in life. And on the other side of that, ended up being this person who I have a fantastic business partner. His name's Andy Smith. I think you know him a little bit.
yeah.
And he is a positive influence on me. Our company is really about being positioned to give back to people.
Mhm,
It's not just a byline or a tagline. It's who we really are. And
yeah.
we live it. And the connector of the dots things, 2.5 years ago, we get started. Um, I actually have a post coming out in a couple of days, but there are all these random events. Andy's like, hey, get on LinkedIn. I was like, oh,
Mm,
no, not really. I don't want to do that. He did it. You meet people, people give you a little nudge. And
mm,
the bottom line is we've gone from being just a manufacturing company, and we're proud of that product because it saves lives in the southern United States where there are tornadoes. It's a
mm,
real thing that we do. To now we have multiple companies. We have an investment company, and we have people who are investors who love to partner with us. So when we connect the dots between entrepreneurs who have a product or an idea or a software or SaaS, we're able to
mhm,
help them get to market. But before that, we vet it.
yeah,
That's the hard part sometimes. People don't
sure.
always like the truth.
No, yeah, I very much relate to that. I mean, a big part of what we do, and I think that's sort of semi how we connected as well.
It is.
A lot of it is that, and we try to really focus in on those really like exceptional businesses, and in our very early discussion, where we were kind of connecting, we spoke about our background in the sense of like we worked with so many different businesses, brought them to market, but a lot of them fail throughout time, and this that you mentioned, the abundance mindset, I absolutely love that. Like almost everything about exceptionally irresistible is, rooted in that abundance mindset. So that's why for a few seconds, could you expand a little bit more on your understanding of the abundance mindset, because that's a really important topic.
Yeah. The way I feel about it is like there's not just one pizza with 8 slices, and you have to fight the guy next to you to get a slice of pie. There
Mhm.
are a million pizzas with a gazillion slices. There's
Right.
enough for everybody to come up to the table, eat all they want, enjoy fellowship, and go out and do what they want to do.
Mm.
The opposite of that, and you can see this exhibited by a lot of people on LinkedIn, there's like a harsh edge to their personality. Like, oh,
Mm.
I'm a coach and I coach this
Right.
little segment of people, and I dislike or even hate this other person who does the same thing as me. And I talk
Mm.
badly about them on my posts sometimes, right?
Right.
Because hey, to get my one slice of pie, I have to knock you down. So
Right.
I see that and I just shake my head in disbelief because so many people need coaching or the resource that you provide or the business, you do this X, Y, or Z. And there could be 10 guys or 100 guys or 1,000 guys that do the same thing. There's room for everybody. There
So
is.
true. So
You
so
just,
true.
the first time I met you, I want to say this so everybody hears it.
Mhm.
After we left our chat, it was like you were a guy I went to school with, and I've known you my whole life. You are
Thank you.
exceptionally irresistible. Yeah, it's the
Mhm.
truth. That's who you are.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that, and I honestly felt the same way about you. And it's like I remember getting off that very first Zoom call with you. Now I'm not in the habit of getting onto Zoom calls just like that,
Yeah.
so you were the exception. I will be honest with you, but coming off that Zoom call, I was like, man, I know Kev for I don't know, like it felt like I knew you forever.
Yeah.
Like I really felt that way, and I think it's really talking to the point that you're making, that abundance mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
really truly feel that way, and I think we even spoke about that a little bit in one of our chats. I remember the very first time I found you was through another comment on another comment, or some like relative thing to that, because I am of the believer that, and very much like you, like that connector of the dots. I am the believer of LinkedIn or any of these social platforms are really places that you just have this abundance of people to really just connect with and just talk to. It's this massive networking event on the greatest amount of steroids you could imagine. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
You
true.
are open to the entire world on LinkedIn and these platforms, which is phenomenal and incredible. And it's really just a matter of that mindset that you were talking about, um, to really utilize this platform to its real max. Like you could get a lot out of this platform, but you got to use it well. You got to use it right. That abundance mindset you were talking about.
Yeah. If you if you go in with the right attitude, positive mentality, if you are not trying to monetize everything that you do,
Right.
sometimes it's like, hey, I know this guy needs to talk to this guy. I'm just going to connect him because
Mm-hmm.
it's the thing to do.
Right.
And it's not like you put in one, you get back two, you put in one, you get back one. But so many times those guys will be the ones like, hey, I talked to Kevin, a couple months ago, and I remember he told me this, and they'll reach out to you with opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's not why I do that. I just do it because helping people is the right thing to do. But
So
oftentimes it ends up benefiting you in the long haul. When you look at the marathon that this is.
So true. Exactly. I mean, wow. It's like literally everything I've been writing about lately. And the reason, actually, a big part of why my business partner, Baruch, and I have decided to do these casual chats was mainly because we do have this platform called the Becoming Exceptionally Irresistible, where we strongly believe that everybody is exceptionally irresistible. Right for out of the gate, we believe everybody is exceptionally irresistible. Just unfortunately, a lot of people don't even necessarily believe that about themselves. They don't know what it really means, or for whatever reason. I'm not here to judge, obviously, but sometimes they need that outside person, that external person to point it out to them. And sometimes, and all of us are on a journey of growth, and so we're all in the constant becoming exceptionally irresistible. And just the fact that I'm putting my foot forward a little bit more than somebody else, and that just makes me a little bit ahead of the game, doesn't make me any more or any less exceptionally irresistible than somebody else.
Yep.
I'm just discovering myself a little bit on a faster scale or whatever. And that's what this show is all about, is really to highlight that, to celebrate that, to advocate that, to bring those guests to really show what they're doing and how they're doing it, in order to hopefully inspire others, that they could join in on this journey. And that's why I chose you're one of those exceptional people. I don't remember a post of yours that really highlights or monetizes what you do. You really are there to connect, and you really, like, you choose a topic and you go with it. And then also your memes are just the funniest memes ever, but that's besides the point. But I just I love that, and I really want to highlight that.
I I think that people miss the point sometimes that LinkedIn is a social media site, and the social part is the fun part.
Right.
You know, the authenticity of your character comes right through the screen. I
Hmm.
know who you are. I get it. I feel it. And it enables people to pick that vibe up.
Right.
I had a post a couple days ago about the opportunities that we've seen. And I've literally had, I don't know, in the last 6 months, 8 months, 100 people I've talked to, they've pitched me ideas. And I don't, I mean, they know what I do. So they
Hmm.
call. But out of all those, the ones that have like really become something, and there are three of them, are situations where just relational conversation with another person, being real, authentic, just being
Hmm.
yourself. They reached out and said, "Hey," one guy was like, pointedly, "Are you really who you appear to be online?" I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah, I better be, or I'm not me." And it ended up being a great opportunity, and we're developing that right now with them.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
just enjoy the social aspect of it. People who say, this isn't, Facebook. No, it's not Facebook. This
Hmm.
is Facebook on steroids with business and people
Right.
who are looking to do business. And you
Hmm.
can connect with, I can meet people here that I could never meet in real life, ever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
How would I run across you?
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I,
it's
I agree.
matters.
Hmm. And this is often what I tell some of my clients. I tell them, listen, you're going to meet the same guy on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on any platform that there is. You're going to meet the same guy. The only thing is, the reason why I personally spend most of my time on LinkedIn and not so much on Facebook and Instagram, it's just that I really believe in the birds of similar feather type of situation. I'm a business professional. Everything about me, like if you cut me, business is coming out in blood. Like I just love business so much, and I'm so much into that. It's something I dedicated literally since I was in diapers to. I grew up in an entrepreneur family, so this is all I know,
Yeah.
and so that's why that's my platform. That's the place where I hang out the most. If you're going to tell me that there are business professionals on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that's where I'll be, because I'm hanging out with my crew, with my people.
Yeah.
Now, not always am I talking about how, like making, like, I'm not trying to monetize everybody I meet. I just chill and have a chat and stuff like that. Just yesterday I got a message from somebody trying to convince me, like you said, like trying to sell me on something, and I was like, listen, that's really not what I'm here for. And I'm not even trying to sell you on anything. Don't sell me on anything. And he goes, oh, that's BS. That's garbage. Everybody's trying to monetize. Everybody's trying to sell something. Everybody's this. And I was like, I don't know. The last time I spoke to my brother, I wasn't trying to sell him on something. The last time I spoke to my wife, I wasn't trying to sell her on something. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, and the truth is that there was a person only recently, only this week, reached out to me and said, hey, that time that we met about a year, I don't know, something a year and a half ago, we were just chatting, and you were sharing with me stuff that you're doing and whatever. At the time, I was not ready to hire you. But over the course of time, I've been listening to other coaches and other people online. And right away, I remembered you. You stood out from everybody else. And so, hey, I would love to talk to you about your services.
That's
But
great.
I really honestly never pitched him on anything. We just chatted. We had a chat.
Mhm.
This that it became something organically a year later. And hey, he could have hired those coaches that he's listening to and watching, but he remembered me. And why was that?
I You just touched on something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about. Organic growth. It takes a long time, right?
Right.
And I remember when I was a young guy, someone shared a picture with me. It's a graveyard in the Massachusetts area. And this oak tree is growing up out of this massive, it's a slab of granite that's probably eight
Oh wow.
inches. And it it got in there and split it. And this huge tree grew out of that. It's
Wow.
hundreds of years old. That's organic growth, and
Mm.
that's going to last. It's going to stay. Where when you talk about mechanical growth, it's just someone dumping a pile of bricks in your driveway to build something out of bricks. it
Hmm.
it's a whole different feel.
Sure.
And the organic part for me is like, because I know you, I know your lane, I know who you want to, your ideal customer and client, the people you want to talk to. I can shoot those people to you. So your network is as big as everybody that you're connected to that
Hmm.
understands who you are. And that's way more reach than you could possibly accomplish just
Yeah.
mechanically. That's
So
organic.
true. Yeah, I have a contact that his name is Yona Weiss. I'm almost positive you heard of him, and if you didn't, I'll definitely happily make the introductions. But he's an individual that I learned so much from, and he likes to say your network is your net worth,
Yes.
and there's a lot of wisdom in that. There's a lot of wisdom in that, in the sense of it's just people who randomly. It's people who you just happen to know, and it's people that you also interact with. I literally, right before we got onto this show, I was commenting on somebody's post about these random people that are messaging you and all that kind of stuff, and I said, but what is it really? A person, the biggest gift you could give anybody on social media is to interact with their material, interact with their stuff. That's literally the biggest gift.
Yes.
The even bigger gift is interacting with those that are interacting with them.
Yep.
So go through the comments. I literally, sometimes I have to choose, I have to pick and choose what topics I want to really like do a deep dive in. And I will literally go through every single comment that's in there, and I'm going to reward those that and I say reward, but I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to interact with those people who brought some quality value to that post. So just because, like, hey, awesome meme, Kevin, cool, that's not value. But like, hey, what did that person learn from that meme, or is that person expanding on something you wrote? That person took time to write on your post.
Yep.
That person deserves a little bit more than just Kevin responding because it's Kevin's post. And I feel that way, and I do that a lot. And I told them the natural growth that grows from there, like the majority of the people I interact with, almost all my 7,000 followers are from that.
Yeah.
Because I've interacted with them to some degree, and I don't even have to reach out to them. They're reaching out to me like, hey, you're a guy we want on our corner. And that's that organic growth that you're talking about. You could literally be that tree in that slab of concrete, and penetrate and make that hole in there.
Yeah. It's just takes time. It
It does.
You can't have a sprinter mentality. You have to realize
Hmm.
it's a marathon. And
Yeah.
10 minutes before we got on here, I got WhatsApp from a friend in Britain. 6 months ago, I had no idea who this guy is, and now we're like friends. We hang out online, talk and chat. We've done some podcasts. He,
Hmm.
those are the kind of relationships that matter, not just because of the quality of the human being on the other end, but when it comes
Sure.
down to business, he's a great business person, very good at what he does. And again, it feels good when you can tell somebody who's looking for what he does, hey, I know this guy and he's the best.
Hmm.
I love being able to do that.
I love that too. Yeah, it's so cool. And I mean, so many people that I met is exactly that. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I sometimes think about it just for, like, I like to challenge myself, and like you're one of the kind of people. When would we ever do business together? And I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
To be fully transparent and fully honest with you, I have no idea. Do I have some great products that maybe will benefit you? Absolutely, I do. But like you will interact with me. You will see in that, and then all of a sudden, let's say you're saying, hey, you know what, I could use more happiness in my life. Hear me, you seem to have that course, and you seem to have that thing. And I tell people that course is an evergreen. It will always be there.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, come and take it. Like, I'm not here to like I'm not on some like you said sprint that I have to have a million people taking my courses or whatever. I really am doing it to benefit other people. And if it brings them value, they'll know when it's valuable to
Oh,
them,
yeah.
and they'll seek me out. I don't have to go running after them. And the point is that maybe you do have a service that I'm looking for, and I'm going to say, hey, Kev, this seems to be up your alley. Is this something you do? But that doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be. I
No.
really, truly, and I mean this authentically, I enjoy your posts because to me, it puts a smile on my face every single day.
Yeah.
Like, I actively look for your posts, being fully honest with you. Like, and there are a handful of people in my immediate network that's something I look forward to, and that I think that's that authentic connection that you're mentioning now.
Humor, humor and joy are. It's not something you pour out of a glass. It comes from inside of you.
Right.
I enjoy humor. I love to laugh, and it brings me joy to see other people just find something comical, or like you get a lot of crazy DMs from those kind of posts. But it,
I loved your what's name your my favorite one was the roller coaster one.
that yeah,
Surely
that
my favorite
lady,
one.
she was loving that ride.
Uh-huh.
Just
She
I,
was so fun.
I found that, and I was like, man, that gift is so good. I'm gonna write a post around that, and so it was like
Right.
the core of the whole thing. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's I like to have fun. It's great to have fun, and when people can see that, a lot of times it's like, you and I don't have any business right now. We're not, but could I foresee us doing business together? Oh yeah, because of your character. And
Exactly.
I know you have interests beyond, the things that you talk about. You and I have had some conversations that are definitely below ground conversations. They've got
Mhm.
roots. And, I shared some of the things I'm interested in the future, and you did too. And those things, they intersect, they overlap. So, there could be a day where it's like, hey man, let's do this thing together. And I would
Mm.
love that.
Yeah, and you know what? Because you mentioned that, actually, I think it's the opportune situation, and I think it's going to bring value to anybody that's watching this. I actually thought about you this week of potentially sending somebody over to you. And I said, immediately when that person reached out to me, it's like an app that they're developing or whatever. And I was like, Kevin would be the perfect person for this, but that's because I know Kevin.
Yeah.
Now I don't know yet those other people who are pitching me on their, platform, whatever, and I'm doing my deep dive into it. I'm considering whether to take them on as a client or not. There's a lot of like due diligence that I take.
Right.
Um, but exactly a testament to what you're saying, and this is a little bit of a spoiler alert to people, you know, but it's really, really, really honestly, um, exactly to what you're saying is that I know Kevin better than I know those other people, and I've learned about his character and I learned about who he is because took the time to getting to know Kevin. So now you're in the back of my mind saying, Kevin should be the right person, but let me make sure that other people are the right person for Kevin. Because I don't want, like, I believe that also you're only as worth as your referrals, as your connections. And you have to be careful with who you refer to. I do take my connections very seriously, and I take them, like, I really, really value them. And I do believe, and like we spoke about it a little bit earlier, that this entire platform of Exceptionally Irresistible is about connecting all those exceptionally irresistible people. I think you are aware, and I think you are in our club that we're building. Where at this stage we're only really collecting people in a sense. We're just bringing them into the group. But at some point, we do have plans on doing networking events, on doing, connection. And let me tell you, already in this group, that it's not an active group just yet. Like, there's not things really happening there, but there's already business happening there. Like, people just naturally just trust, like, hey, if you're in this group, you're highly vetted. I
Right.
went through this vetting process to get into this group. Must be you're just as good. So who are you? What do you do? They start like what do they call them on social media? Like, they like look through the stuff that they do. There's a word that they call it, stalking, I think it is. So they social media stalk each other or whatever. And I've been told, like, I'm getting messages. I was like, hey, Yermi, I just met such and such, and they do what I'm looking for, and we're doing business already. And there's like actual money going on there. And I'm like, I didn't even do anything yet. I just put people into like a little,
Yeah.
at this point, it's a puddle. It's like, it's not even a pond yet. But it's incredible to see these authentic connections happening. And it's so organic. You never know what comes out of it.
Yeah.
And that's something I really, as I'm saying, I really would love to highlight that. And that's, again, what this show is all about.
I I'm going to jump back to something we touched on briefly, like the character part.
Mm,
I've always valued character, not just a person being a character, being interesting, but the true essence of, are they trustworthy? All those kind of
Yeah.
things that speak to a person's ability to be leaned into. Andy and I, when we vet, it's not just your product idea or your business or how you want to launch this.
Hmm.
It's, who are you? What are your
Hmm.
beliefs? What are your values?
Sure.
And I want to share a quick story.
Hmm.
We have an investor who is a fantastically successful human being, and he's a kind man. And he and I share the same faith. And he reached out to me, and that's how we really met online. And we recently introduced him to two founders of a product. And literally, he spent the first 15 minutes questioning them on the type of character they have. And
Wow.
I'd have to say, it was like all the air was sucked out of the room. He took over and he drove this conversation very pointedly. And when he was
Mm.
done, he's like, guys, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I've seen people act very foolish for $10,000, $100,000, let alone $1 million. Do things
Sure.
that you would never imagine another human would do to another human. He said,
Right.
I had to hear who you are, what you believe in, and you've passed that litmus test. Now we can really get to know one another. And
Hmm.
he's turned that into a process where I do it organically, but
Hmm.
I learned something from him about his fearlessness in challenging other people in that regard. Because just because it's a good business idea, if it's with the wrong person, it's a bad idea.
So true. Wow. I just need to take a second to like take that story in because I really believe that a lot of people have to hear that. Like really, really believe that. And it's sometimes, and I say this often, and like I love that what you just demonstrated was like the reality of what, like, I write it in theory or I say it sometimes in theory, and you're saying that this actually happened,
Oh,
and I tell people, sometimes you could have a brilliant idea or you could have a brilliant system to your business, but the reason why it fails is because the ones who operate your system are just not operating. Okay, you could have a button factory but nobody's turning those buttons, you
yeah,
know what I mean? So like, what worth do you have? And
exactly.
you're seeing it in a very, very practical level, which I absolutely love. People really sometimes just need to take that step back for a second, look internally, you know get what I call full of themselves, but in a healthy way,
Yeah,
obviously, get that character in check. And once you have that, then you have some form of sustainability for your idea, and people just organically want to deal with you. And it could be $10,000, it could be $1 million, it could be
yeah.
whatever. I absolutely thank you so much for highlighting that. I really appreciate it.
The coolest thing about this, you're going to love this part, is that when I met him, I had no idea who this gentleman was. He got onto one of my posts and he made a comment about another person who had made a comment.
Hmm.
And he wasn't rude, but he was pointed. And he DM'd me immediately and
Wow.
said, I'd like to meet you and talk to you. And I
Wow.
was like, okay. I looked at his profile and he's a guy that's wearing a three-piece suit. And you look at his business experience and it's like he's a who's who.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, let me know what your schedule looks like. I will find a spot. I will clear whatever I have to clear.
Hmm.
You tell me.
Hmm.
He's like, now. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
okay. So we got online and he proceeded to only caution me about the person whose character was flawed. He said, do not become unevenly yoked with this person. He'd been
Uh,
lurking. That word that, I think lurking is a big part of what LinkedIn
yeah,
is. Sometimes you
that's
watch
it.
people,
Mhm.
you watch the reactions, you watch who they are, you think you come to know them. And there are 20 people who are just watching and not commenting. And
Mhm.
they're also, they're in the game, but they just play a silent game. The cool
Mm.
thing about this, that when that man contacted me, I didn't see him as an investor. I saw him as a person that was like diligent about sharing something he thought was important for my benefit, my
Yeah,
well-being. He did that, and he has become an extraordinary mentor to me. I mean, just in the
beautiful.
few months that I've known him, since April, we speak regularly. He will just ping me. We pray together, things that matter. We talk
Wow.
about, not just business. It's seldom about business. It's about, how are you treating other people? Are you living by the Grand Commission to take care of widows and orphans? Things that are like
Mm.
practical application of, if you can make money, what are you going to do with it? And
Right.
he's taught me things that I value deeply. And I only met him because of LinkedIn.
It's
Love that.
incredible.
Love him.
Yeah. And again, and just to like really take that a step further, you never know
No.
who's reading your post, what's happening with your post.
Mhm.
I mean, I also got I sometimes get random emails and messages, you know, hey, I want to buy your program. And I'm like, whoa, that's the fastest I've ever sold a program. Like usually it's very different. And I don't even know
Who
who
are
the
you?
person is. I don't even have an idea. I
Who
never
are you?
interacted with that
Yeah.
person. And they're like, "Oh, I've just been lurking your, your social media for X amount of time, and I'm just ready to buy your program." And I'm like,
In the
well, like
shadows.
they never commented once. They didn't even like my post. They didn't
Huh.
like nothing,
You go back
nothing.
and check because you're curious,
Blue.
right?
Yeah,
How was
and
the
I
interaction?
am. I'm
And
yeah. I'm like,
resilient,
where's this
actually.
person?
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing.
Unilateral relationship, but it
Mhm.
works.
Yeah. And not too long ago, I was doing so. I'm right now on sort of like a tour. I'm going on a speaking tour, and I was at an event, and somebody came up to me and said, you saved my life. And
Oh
I was
my.
like, I never saw you in my life before. I've never been to this city
Uh-huh.
before. How did I save your life? So they said, oh, I've just been following you on LinkedIn. And the moment I heard that you're going to be at this event, I ran. I bought the ticket. I came. I ran. Tells me I was planning suicide,
Oh.
and for a while now, and just I was going through social media. I came across a post you posted. I did a little bit of research about you. I read up about you. I watched some of interviews, videos, whatever it was. Turns out that he came across one of my videos, where I talk about my background, like stuff that happened to me in the past and whatever. And he's like, you had it so many times harder than, like, I don't have it half as hard as what you went through. Who am I to like, who am I to commit suicide? Like, you're around and look at the stuff that you're doing and everything. And again, this is a person never commented, never liked, never anything. And I was just blown. Like, I was totally deer in the headlights.
Oh
I
yeah.
did not expect that. And this is a business expo. Somebody walks up to me and gives me this comment. Like, they came out of their way to come to an expo that had nothing to do with them, just to come see me, just to come tell me that.
That
And he wanted to do that face to face. He didn't even reach out to me online.
that's huge, right? That's a
It's
human being.
scary sometimes. Yeah.
That that would have knocked the wind out of me.
And it's exactly a testament to what you're saying. It's that you want to make a true impact. And again, I'm not saying that there's one way there's never one way to do anything. I really believe that. But I'm saying, for this is a show talking about exceptionally irresistible. These are people who really take that extra mile. These are people who are not your average Joes, in a sense, not to take down from any other approaches. Every approach is legitimate in my book. This is just another one. It's really just another one. And hey, you get to choose the people you want to hang out with. If you want to hang out with the Kevins of the world, this is what it takes to hang out with a Kevin. And Kevin would probably not hang out with you if you're not if you're not the kind of person that Kevin wants to hang out with. So, you know.
It's so much what you have me thinking right now is so many people rely and use the crutch of transactional in relationship. I do for
Right.
you, you do for me.
Mm-hmm.
Relational is just like for your wife, you're not going to keep track of how many things you've done for her. I've done 77 things for you now. Now you got to do 77 for me. It doesn't
Right.
work that way, man.
No.
It could
Yeah.
be 300 to 1. Either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the relational part is the real person on the other end. And you can
Mm-hmm.
accomplish that through social media, especially on LinkedIn, because you get to see people. Sometimes things are a little too personal for me and it's hard to read those.
Right.
I do anyways, but it's still part of that person. So you want to understand it. And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to relational and not transactional, I don't need to make money out of everything I do. I do need to make money
Right.
because I have a family. But
Sure.
that the transaction is something that happens in business, not in relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is a great. I'm actually in the middle of writing an article about this, because most people network in a transactional kind of way.
Mhm.
I'm coming to network to get to know you, to at some point do business with you.
Yep.
because yeah, I do have a family and I do need to survive and I do need to sell products. That's how I survive. However, I've discovered over time and over trial and error, because I was that transactional person, but I learned that transactions do best in the bank.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. I learned that transformation is different.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could come and I could transform anything in your life, even if it's for just like a tiny little emotional feeling, whatever, I learned that people do not buy things, they buy experiences and they buy emotions. Those are the two things that I've discovered over a course of time, through a lot of observation, a lot of trial and error. This is what I discovered. And transformation goes a lot farther. Now, sometimes it takes time to build that trust. It takes time to all that stuff. So, and then it requires a lot of trust. I trust in a higher power. So I really believe that if I do my part, my heavenly father, what I believe, I will take care of the rest. And I really believe if I take care to a certain degree of God's creations, God will take care of me in return. And I don't need the creation to necessarily, God has many mission, many servants and many, messengers. He's got me covered, kind of thing.
You and I shared that.
Honestly, the approach I take.
Exactly. I shared a comment with a friend. I chatted with him yesterday. I used to honestly feel, Yermi, that these hands were on a steering wheel and I was guiding myself so perfectly through life, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fallacy. That's craziness.
Yeah.
The entire time you're being influenced by God. And
Mm-hmm.
that's that higher power that is nudging you and moving you and putting you in a position and
Mm-hmm.
caring for you, taking care of you.
Very much so.
It's not like you can check off a box. I did this, this, and this, and I should expect that. It's not how it works.
No.
And win, lose, or draw, it is the greatest feeling in the world to be able to lean into that and to
Mm-hmm.
always have it with me. I love faith. It's a
Yes.
huge aspect of who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that comment from you.
Yes. No, it's
It's
huge. I mean,
yeah.
it is really the driving force of my life right now, and I've seen it time and time again working in ways you wouldn't believe. I mean, I literally could spend a whole other hour
Oh,
just telling you story upon story of literally, I would not call it anything other than a miracle.
yep.
Like, how is it even possible that I'm taking this approach and I'm actually still making money and I'm actually still surviving and I actually could put food on the table? And like, it really, to me, it's really every single time I could close a month, I could pay my mortgage, I could pay my, whatever. I really do. I really, really honestly do see that as a miracle. Like,
Yeah.
really honestly,
Mhm.
because there's no logical sense to it. There's really none. But I do prefer living this life of faith, and I do prefer, and this is just a personal preference of mine. And again, not saying that any other approach is right or wrong. This is just the approach I'm taking, and I'm very fulfilled in life. I'm living that exceptionally irresistible life for myself. That's how I see it. And then I just want to partner up with others, just to kind of be their little cheerleader on the side, saying, hey, like, I would love to be there with you, and I wanted to partner up with you, and that's really the approach, and that's what we're all talking about here. But we are coming towards the end of the show at this point. I wish there was more time. Like, I literally could speak hours with you.
I could be here for a few hours, man. You know that.
I totally know that. I mean, it's going to be dangerous if we're ever like face to face. Like,
Oh,
probably our wives are going to be like, "What's wrong with you people?" Like come back home. Which, by the way, you're always invited to our home. Just saying, just putting it out there.
yeah.
But I do want to open up this platform to others who have a story or have something exceptionally irresistible that they want to share with the world and everything. We want to highlight you. We want to celebrate you. We want to advocate for you. So please reach out. There's this little scrolling situation going down here. The information is there. Please reach out to us. You could reach out to the exceptionally irresistible at gmail.com. So it's an easy email to remember. Please reach out to us. And I want to end off with asking Kevin something really interesting before we end off with how people could reach you. But I have one last question for you.
Okay. I feel like I'm in the spotlight. Like, oh no.
Hey, you're the spotlight worth being in. So, if there was one inspirational person that you could have dinner with, who would that be and why?
Well, I kind of went. You could go way back in time, and I could say my lord, but I
Hmm.
chose a person who is deceased. I would choose Andrew Carnegie
Mm.
because he was, by all standards, one of the wealthiest human beings who ever lived. When he died, his value today would have been $330 billion.
Wow.
He gave his wife and his children a little bit of money and gave everything else away.
Wow.
Libraries, helped organizations, churches, you name it. Anybody who came to him and said, I have a worthy cause, what can I do? Started art institutes, started like supporting colleges. The man gave away everything.
Mm.
And his family, do research on this. The Carnegie family, they are
Hmm.
so proud of that legacy. It has
Wow.
carried them to today. It's what they do.
Wow.
Even when one of them jumps up and makes it big, it's like, you know what they do? Give back, give back, give back. I want
Wow.
I want that impact for my family. It will never be to that degree,
You never
but
know. Abundance mindset, baby.
yeah, a lot of abundance. But all I
You
want
never know.
to do is
No, but
just, yeah, because it's true. It's true. You know what I mean? I have
yeah.
an opportunity right now that
Hmm.
potentially will probably give our family generational wealth. And I'm not going to be the guy at the end of the race who has a pile of stuff that was never used or accomplished good from it. I want to
Perfect.
be like Andrew Carnegie. I wrote his name down here because when you sent me that, I stayed up last night. I was awake at like 2 o'clock in the morning trying to
Oh, wow.
figure out who would it be? Who would it be? And then
Mm.
I wanted to pick a contemporary of our time, someone who people would know by name. So that's the guy.
That's incredible. I very much relate to that, and I did do a whole research on Carnegie actually. So I do like to read, like when I read books and stuff, and I like to research who are the people who wrote those books because I read books very differently than average people. I study books,
Yeah,
so what were they thinking when they wrote that?
no,
That's the kind of way I read books. But Carnegie is definitely a person to really look up to, and I highly encourage the guests, if you haven't yet, Google the Carnegies because it is really incredible. Like,
amazing family.
thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I do live to a certain degree with the same kind of
I thought that would
ambition.
resonate with you. Yeah,
Very much so. Very much. I believe in legacy rather than anything else. So again, thank you so much for sharing. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed by now who Kevin is, you want to reach out to Kevin. So Kevin, just for the last bit, um, close off the show with how could people reach you? I do know we have an email here for you, so I'll pull that up. But any, LinkedIn, anything, however.
LinkedIn is the platform I play on. You can find me on there. I will connect. I'm not the guy that ignores connections. I love to know people. If you connect, I'm going to DM you and ask you who you are. I'm going to probably spend some time chatting with you, and I just enjoy getting to know people. You know what I mean? It has been a pleasure to spend this
Likewise.
time with you. I thank you so much for this opportunity to just chat with
Absolutely,
you.
Kevin.
I love
All
you.
right, man. Same here. Thank you so much. And guests, thank you so much for joining. This is a man you want to connect with. Kevin Belz on LinkedIn, or Kevin K Belz at Blacksmith. What is it?
Ventures.
Blacksmithventures.com.
Mhm.
This is the best way to reach this man. Connect with him. You will not be sorry. I guarantee that to you. And again, this ends the show. So if you know of anybody, or if you want to be featured on this show, please let us know. Reach out to us. Exceptionallyirresistible at gmail.com or yermikirkus.com, or again, Yermi Kirkus on LinkedIn. We could chat, and I'll do the same thing as Kevin will do. If he's checking you out, I will check you out too. But we definitely want to highlight you and share time with you. So this was the Exceptionally Irresistible casual chat. It was a lot of fun. Kevin, thank you for making it so much fun, and thank you
Thanks,
everybody for joining. See you all next time. Bye bye.